Bruchim haboim. Welcome everyone. We're about to begin Be'ezras Hashem together on Daf Chof Hey Amud Aleph, 2 lines from the top. The Mishnah in the beginning of the parak opens up with different psilos and shmonim, oils and wicks that are of poor quality, and therefore there's a concern that they will then cause a person to tilt the ner and be over an Isser Deraisa of kindling a flame on Shabbos. So therefore the Chacham answered all of these types of poor quality oils and wicks. Amongst the list of oils is Shemen Sreifa. The Gemara identifies Shemen Sreifa as being Truma Shenitma'a. Now Truma Shenitma could be of good oil, and therefore there shouldn't be a concern that maybe a person will tilt the ner and be over an Isser Deraisa of Havara of kindling a flame on Shabbos. So therefore the Gemara makes the Akimta and explains that that's actually the Kavanah in this Mishnah as well. When it says Ein Malikin B'Shemen Sreifa B'Yomtiv, it's talking about when Yomtiv is Chal on Erev Shabbos. That's when you cannot use Truma Shenitma oil. And therefore, our Gemara now discusses that whether you can use Shemen Shenitma and get Hana from it. Says the Gemara, B'Yom Tov Huda Asir. The only reason why it's asir to use Truma Shenitma is because it's Yomtiv. And the Gemara says, on Yomtiv it's asir, just like Ein Sarfin Kodshi B'Yomtiv. Ha B'chol Shapir Dami. But the Gemara makes a diuk. But during the week, if it wasn't Yomtiv, then you can kindle, you can burn oil of Truma Tamei. My taima, ask the Gemara, what's the reason? Omarav, where do we know that you can get hana from the Truma Shenitma? Omarav, Mishem Keshem Shemitzvah Lissoif HaKodshim Shenitmu, Kach Mitzvah Lissoif Es HaTruma Shenitmes. The same way that it's a mitzvah to burn Kodshim, so too it's a mitzvah to burn Truma. V'Amra Torah B'Shas Bi'ura, the time that you burn it, Tehana mimenu, you shall then get hana, get enjoyment, get pleasure from that truma, that's nitmes that you're burning. So therefore, we see that indeed you can get hana, you can burn the truma during the week, even though you cannot burn it on Yontif. Heicha Amra Torah, where do we see from the Torah that indeed one can get hana from burning truma shenitma? Midrav Nachman. From that which Rav Nachman said, Amar Rav Nachman, Amar Rabbi Bavua, Amar Kro. The pasuk is Va'ani hine nosati locha es mishmeres trumasoi. And I, Hashem says to Aaron HaKoyen, will give to you the mishmeres, the guarding of trumoisoi, of trumois, plural. B'shtei trumois hakosuv medaber, achas truma tahara, va'achas truma tameya. One is referring to truma tahara, and the other one truma tameya. V'amrachmana lecha. It says in this pasuk, nasati lecha, to you. Shelcha tehei lahasika tachas tavshilcha. For you it will be given to use as fire, as a flame underneath your tavshil when you cook whatever it is that you're cooking. In other words, you can get hana from the burning of this truma. That's one mahalech to explain where we find in the Torah that the truma tameya is indeed mutter bahana. The Kohen can get hana when he burns it. Ve'ibois ema, although of course he cannot eat it, but in terms of burning it, he can get hana from burning it. Ve'ibois ema, another explanation. Mid Rabbi Abo, the Amar Rabbi Abo, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, V'loi bi'arti mimenu betami. Here it's talking about when a person confesses the maisros that he is given, that he is taking out all of his maisros. It says in the pasuk, "V'lo bi'arti." This is the confession. I did not consume from it mimenu betame, when the maiser was tame, or whether I was tame. The Gemara now explains mimenu iyato mavir. From it, the pasuk emphasizes that you cannot mavir. Here it's talking about maiser sheni, so that you cannot consume. Aval atomavir shemen shel truma shenitmes, but you could indeed get hana and consume the shemen of truma shenitmes by using the shemen either again underneath a flame to cook something, or to be heated up by that flame and gain warmth from that flame. So the Kohen could get hana from that truma. Ask the Gemara to challenge this. Ve'ema mimenu iato mavir. Aval ato mavir shemen shel kodesh nitma. Maybe it's saying you can't get hana from the Meiser Sheni by consuming it, but you could consume the shemen of kodesh that became tamei. And therefore, that would exclude truma, however. Only kodesh nitma you would be able to get hana from. Ask the Gemara, lav kal v'chomer hu? Would that not be a kal v'chomer? That indeed, if Meiser Sheni is something that you cannot get hana from it, you cannot consume it, then certainly you cannot get consumption hana from kochim. Ma Meiser hakal omer Torah lo bi'arti mimenu b'tamei. Kodesh chomer l'kol shekain. Again, if the Meiser Sheni, which is much more kal, a person, it's true he has to bring the Meiser Sheni to Yerushalayim, but anybody, any Yisrael, can go ahead and bring that Meiser Sheni to Yerushalayim and eat in Yerushalayim. But kochim, that's limited. So therefore, if the Meiser Sheni is off limits, and you cannot get hana from the Meiser Sheni, then certainly you can get hana from the kodesh. Ask the Gemara, if that's so, truma nami, lema kal v'chomer. Then truma also, we can say the same kal v'chomer, that if Meiser Sheni is something that's more kal, and still the Torah says you cannot get hana from it, so then certainly when truma becomes tamei, you can't get hana from that because it's much more chamur. Haksiv mimenu. Therefore, the pasuk is mimenu, from it, from the Meiser Sheni, you can't get any hana, but from the truma, you would be able to get hana. Ask the Gemara, my ra'is, what did you see to say that truma is something that you can get hana, but kodesh you cannot? Maybe it's the opposite. Mistabra kodesh loy mima'etna. It's mistaber to say that the kodesh is not being excluded, meaning that the kodesh also cannot consume it if it became tamei. Shekain simon panak akas, as the siman pei nun kuf ayin kaf samich implies that it's more chamur. As it says, pei stands for pigul. A person, when it comes to kodesh, he's bringing an offering, he cannot have the thoughts that he's going to eat the offering outside the designated time. For example, you can eat the offering, this specific offering, one night and a day. So therefore, you will not be able to then eat it the day after that. So even if he ends up eating in the proper time, but since his thought when he made the carbon, whether he's going to eat it out of the designated time, that's called pigul. And that's poisils, the carbon. Noisar here is basically the opposite idea, that a person doesn't have improper thoughts at the time that he brings the carbon. Indeed, he thinks going to eat it in the proper time, but he ends up leaving the meat for afterwards. And therefore, that meat in the additional time that's left over would have to be burned. That's an iser. Carbon, here it's a sacrificial offering. Me'ila, if a person b'shoigig had any benefit from this kodesh, then he's going to be chayev me'ila. Kores, if a person who was tamei, a person who was tamei had a benefit from this, then this person who is tamei, he's going to then also, he'll be chayev kores as a result of being makriv a carbon when he is tamei. V'oser la'oinen, it's also a carbon to an oinen. That's the period of time between the petira and the kavura, and therefore an oinen is off limits to kodshim. So all of these reasons imply the severity of kodesh, of sacrificial offerings of karbonos, and that's why, therefore, when you burn them and they become tamei, they cannot have hana from them. Ask the Gemara, Adarabba, truma lo mima'etna. Let's say truma cannot be excluded, whereby truma you would not be able to get hana from truma that's nifsal, that's nitma. Shekain machapaz siman, because mem ches pei zayin is a siman of all the things showing that how chamor truma is. Misa, first one is mem, is the misa b'dei shamayim, to a zar who eats the truma, or if a kohen who is tamei eats truma, he's chayiv misa b'dei shamayim. Chomesh, if a zar eats the truma b'shogeg, he's chayiv to add a chomesh. A fifth, ve'ein la pidyon. When it comes to truma, there's no pidyon. There's no such thing as being poida, redeeming the truma. Whereas there's such a concept when it comes to kodesh. Kodesh, before the shechita, one can transfer and make a pidyon. Ve'asur lezorim. And when it comes to truma, only a kohen can eat truma, but a non-kohen, a zar, is also prohibited from partaking in truma, always, without limitation. So therefore, ask the Gemara, why is it that we're saying kodesh is excluded? Meaning to say that kodesh, you cannot get hana, but truma, that was nitma, you could get hana. Answers the Gemara, hanach nefishon. If you count all of the chomer of the kodesh, we counted 6 different things, whereas when it comes to truma, there are only 4. So you see that there's more chamor in kodesh that overrides the truma. Alternatively, I can say kodesh chamor. Why? Shekain anush kares. Kodesh is more chamor because kodesh, we said that carries with it the penalty of kares, and therefore kares means that there's a person his lifespan will be limited, will be shortened rather, and also he won't have children. Whereas when it comes to truma, there we said it's misa b'dei shemaim. That's only going to be where he will have his lifespan shortened, but it doesn't mean that he will not have children. So therefore, again, truma as nitma can yes be used and get hana from, whereas kodesh cannot. Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak Omar, he brings another mahalech to explain where we know that truma shenitma is able to get hana from. Omar Kro, the pasuk says in the pasuk, I'll read the entire pasuk. Reishis the gancha tiroishcha v'yitzarcha. The first, referring to truma, the first of your grains and your wines and your oils. V'reishis geiz tzoincha titein loy, and the first of the shearings of your sheep you shall give to him, to the kohen. So the Gemara brings titein lo, you shall give to him, to the kohen, referring to give to him that which is tahor, that he can consume it and eat it. Loy, to him, that he can consume it, that it's tahor. V'loy le'uroi, and not which is tamei, that can only be given to the fire. But of course, that implies michlal debas urehu. That implies that if it's given to the fire, you could get hana from it. So we have 3 different sources from the Torah that are brought where truma that is nitma, a person can still get hana from it when he consumes it. And that person certainly, of course, is a kohen, but a non-kohen not. A truma can be benefited by the kohen. Again, even though it's nitma, he cannot eat it, but it can then be burnt and he get hana from that fire.